right. We'll go ahead and get things kicked off. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be joining us. My name is Scott Anton, VP of Sales with Gideon Taylor, and I am very excited to welcome you guys to our December Lunch and Learn, From Spreadsheets to Actionable Insights, How North Dakota Transformed Intern Funding Management. I have not actually seen this solution yet, so I'm excited to hear what Darin Schorsch, the HRIS Manager at State of North Dakota, has to share with us and show us with regards to how they have transformed what had been a laborious, burdensome Excel spreadsheet-based process to one that is streamlined, easy, fast, with GT eForms and PeopleSoft Insights. Darin actually participated in a previous panel discussion highlighting the work that they've been doing with Insights at State of North Dakota. So this is kind of the next evolution of that. As a little bit of housekeeping, we are recording this, and folks will get a link to the recording after the conference or after the webinar, probably sometime early next week. If you have questions during the webinar, please feel free to pose those. You can either post those in the chat or in the Q&A. We'll be moderating both or monitoring both during the webinar today. And I think that's it. For those of you who aren't familiar with Gideon Taylor, we've been around for about 24 years now, almost a quarter of a century, helping organizations drive greater innovation, efficiency, and productivity within their PeopleSoft and Oracle systems. We are all about helping folks work faster, easier, better with their investments in enterprise applications. And predominantly that focuses a lot on PeopleSoft HCM, Campus Solutions, and Financials and Supply Chain Management, as well as the new suites of Oracle Cloud solutions, the Oracle Fusion Cloud suites. That said, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Darin Schorsch, HRIS Manager, and then we also have Anita Lemaire joining him as the primary developer on this project. So that being said, Darin, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Scott. Again, my name is Darin Schorsch, and in the world of PeopleSoft, I'm the HCM and ELM product owner for the state of North Dakota. We've got about 8,500 employees, 63 agencies. Currently, we're in the process with our GT forms of upgrading from 3.5803 to 3.75. What you see me demonstrating here will be 3.75 in there. And we got about a dozen dashboards on the HR side that we're reflecting as well. With PeopleSoft, we're HCM 9.2.50. Fin is 48, ELM is .22, Portal is .14, and tools were 860.22. And today, the things that I'd like to go in and touch on in the demonstration, particularly when we go on, is the whole art of the possible with using GT forms and PeopleSoft Insights, talking about the processes that we went through in helping our Human Resource Management Services agency, who has to do the work of receiving, awarding, tracking intern funding requests for the state of North Dakota. So the legislature in the state of North Dakota has determined that they're going to fund $500,000 for internships, and the max we can do with an internship is 50% for an agency. So we needed a way for agencies to be able to submit a request, for that request to be vetted, for it to be sent back and authorized, for them to start the process of do the hire, and then report that hire through GTE forms, and then that goes through the rest of the approval process and gets funded. So it goes from HR to finance and back to HR, showing them a statement of payment that the funds have been transferred. And we'll be showing that process today. when we look at approvals and workflow and notifications in there, you'll see that we have approximately, I think, 7 approvals on that form, utilizing workflow and email notifications and templates throughout there. We also use augmented routing. And I had some great developer help, as Scott said, Anita Lerner and other PeopleSoft developers here at the state certainly were involved with the form and helped me do some things as well. And from those changes and things that we created in the form, you know, they created an index for us, and then we bring that into Insights, where I created the visualizations that helps our Human Resource Management Services division of Office of Management and Budget tell the story to the legislature on where they're at with funding and what the makeup is of the funding and those kinds of things. So it's kind of fun to see the digital representation of that data on the screen, so we can quickly understand where the money's going and how impactful it is. So, you know, we really were able to take that dashboard once we created it, and through the power of GT eForms, we were able to click one button, as I'll show in the demonstration, and it creates a intern funding return. Because sometimes there's clawbacks, right? That, you know, we didn't use all the funding that we gave to the agency. Well, we need a good way to get that money back to the state so we can repurpose the rest of those dollars. And we'll be demonstrating that within here. So I think for the next slide, we're going to be able to go ahead and jump into my recorded demonstration, and you know, we can pause if we have questions during this, and I can answer them, or we can wait until the end. We're going to start by initiating an intern funding request, and in PeopleSoft we have 2 different types of folks that can initiate an intern funding request, and that's going to be a manager or a HR individual. And I'm acting as a manager right now, and we're going to go ahead and click on there to start. And we have our landing page where we can have information relative to the form that we're creating, along with links to SharePoint sites. This one happens to be. That'll tell us some further information about the process. So we're going to add a request intern form. All right, so as this user, it automatically brings me into the form, and it allows me to pick intern position number. Now we put security on here, so this lookup will only return certain reference points, such as it looks at the person's business unit and only shows them ones that are appropriate to them. And then we further said, hey, we only want to look at temp positions, and we want to look at some specific job codes. So right here, we're going to pick up this marketing intern right here. And then we can go ahead and name it as we would like. And we're going to say, and it has my business unit and department in there. Okay. And I can elect to change the supervisor here, because right now the supervisor is Barb Waters, and I can say, oh, we're going to change the supervisor. And from there, we put security in there to bring in other supervisors. So we're going to go ahead and make Veronica the supervisor. And in there, we choose what biennium this affects. And that's for the 25-27 biennium. when we start getting down to the work plans, there's going to be several different areas that we'll be filling in some info that will help the folks that get to rate these, determine whether or not it's appropriate, etc. So we're going to start with anticipated work plan start date, and I'm going to say that it's going to be January 1st. And we would like to have them for 2 months. So let's say February 28th. No, I don't have a work plan. So here I can go ahead and fill in these free-form areas with certain information about what academic majors, vocational area, what work plan overview is, primary task of the individual, what kind of knowledge will they gain in this field, and the reason for hiring an intern. Those are all free-form fields for us. So we know we're going to be trying to hire at a rate of $19. And I'm going to say that I would like 300 hours. Now I can determine what kind of funding we're going to put in there, and the choices I have is 50% or other, and I'm going to pick the 50%. If I were to pick a different amount in there, it can let me put in whatever I want, and it'll do the calculation on the fly for me. $19 times 300 hours times 50% equals $2,850. And I could just put some comments in here that are relative to what I'm thinking of. And I could just say something like, oh, intern position talked about in 25 meeting. All right. And then we'll go ahead and submit that. And here we see we've got a form number there. So it's form number 100-200, and it's in pending status. We can see that it's going through multiple approvers. Let's see who the next approval step is. That's going to go to one of these 3 individuals right here. And if I was to view the approval route, we'll see a more extensive approval path that the form actually has. So here I am just going through that. Then it goes to the intern coordinator, to the chief people officer, and then it gets routed back to the individual originating it, where there will be additional hire information that we can have put in there. And then it goes to the HR people within the intern coordinator area, and they will validate that nothing's changed on the form, that it still meets the criterias. From there, it'll move into the agency fiscal officer, who will add what accounts to charge against. And finally, it'll go to the Office of Management and Budget fiscal approvers to do the final transaction, where that goes ahead and charges back against finance and makes that transaction and creates the process. All right. I'm now logged in as the HR intern coordinator, and I'm going to go to my approval since I got an email that says that you've got one. And here I see the form to approve. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And here I can go in and review the plan information. Look at that. We also created another table down here where it mimics this stuff right here, but it allows us to edit how much we're going to give them. So if I wanted to say 19, but we only have, we're restricted to $16 an hour, I would be able to change that here. And then also this level of approval, it's their responsibility to look at the total appropriation for the semester, for the biennium, excuse me, and then look at the appropriations that have been requested by agency, how much has been transferred, if any has been returned, and the amount remaining. So it looks like the amount remaining is still a nice healthy amount, so we can go ahead and do that. And then I can also see the comments down here by the previous approver. So I'm going to go ahead and click approve. And then next off, it's off to the Chief People Officer. And so I'm the Chief People Officer right now, and I received an email that says that I've got a pending approval out there for a intern funding request. So I'm going to go down there. I'm going to see it right there. And that allows me to go through and review anything on the form. Notice that I can return it to the previous approver or return it to the originator. This was a big deal to have this right here. This is some code that GT has available for its users. And I'm glad that we did add that in, because that certainly was one of the requirements we had as to deliver for our customers. And I'm just going to see in here. Looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and approve. So from this point right here, it goes back to the originator. All right, I'm the intern form originator again, and I just received an email that says that the funding has been approved. You can go ahead and hire for this individual. So we went out and we posted, and we did an interview process, and we found our person to hire, and we've gone ahead and hired them. So I'm going to go into my approvals. I'm going to open up my form. And it's likely this form would set here for, could be a month, 6 weeks, 2 months, by the time that I post, get it approved, anything like that. And we can see down here now I've got some new fields open. And we're going to go ahead and look up that new hires employee ID. So again, it's bracketed by my business unit. So there's row level security on that, and I know it's right here. And we're seeing that is. Now I certainly have to add some additional requirements here, and one of them is an intern transcript. So I'm going to go ahead and upload that. There it is. And from there, we're ready to send that down the line. And as the intern coordinator, I received the email that tells me that I've got an approval, and that approval is right here. And we know that this form is going to be filled out with the hire information, everything I need to track that individual that's required for funds to be dispersed. And from that, from that attachment that we have on here, I read through the transcript, and there's a few fields that I need to fill in. So one thing that we like to track is school name. And so we're going to sort by, say, this is a North Dakota state. And here it lists our schools, and it's University of Mary. And then our degree type happens to be an accounting degree. And nothing else has changed in there. I see that as appropriate to approve. All right, I am the agency fiscal officer, and I just received an email that I have a pending approval for an internship funding request. And there's a few pieces of key data that I need to add to the form that basically only the payroll or financial folks will know. As I read through this down here, I can see that appropriation class and line, this is what I'm looking for right here. And this is going to give me some choices. What am I going to charge that under? I'm going to say new and vacant FTE pool. And now I also have another choice to make here is, does this agency have general funding or not? In most cases, they are general funded, but there are a few that are not. And if I was one of the agencies that was not general funded, I would unselect that and select the finance department and fund code that I need that transfer to. But I'm going to go ahead and leave that as we are general funded. And I will go ahead and approve. And now I'm the role of Office of Management and Budget Fiscal Approver. So I notice that I got an email. I'm going to go into my approvals. I see my request setting there that I need to approve. And I'm on the finance side of the house right now. So my area of responsibility is understanding what they're going to be charged and where they're going to be charged and what accounts. So notice right now that our journal information is blank right here. Well, I looked through everything. Everything looks appropriate. We know how many dollars are going to be charged, etc. We're going to go ahead and approve that. And as the fiscal approver for OMB, once this form is authorized and then it executes, it's sending info over to finance from HR, and that info is coming back from finance and telling us what the journal date is, what the business unit is charging us, what the journal IDs are, 4 separate ones, and whether or not the journal status resides there as posted. And as the OMB fiscal approver, I receive an email at the end of this process, and we actually grab this journal table right here and throw it in there, and so they can see and verify that the journal status is posted. And that closes out the transaction. It lets everyone know that the process has completed and executed. Now I'd like to talk about form setup. And some of the things that we picked up along the way in creating this form, and thanks a lot to Anita Lemire, our ACE developers here at the State of North Dakota, helped so much with this GT form and getting everything to work. And let's go into pages. I'm not going to open up all of these setups, but we'll just take a look at the first one here. So we see we've got quite a few segments on our config page. And we'll just jump into position info and just see the first section of the form and the typical fields that we have called out within there. And we've got a few if statements on some of that stuff. Checks. And let's take a look at validations. We do have validations set up several places throughout the form. It was important for us to make sure that we were getting key pieces of data, particularly around dates. We wanted them filled in. Work plan start dates, approval start dates, those types of things. Works well to keep the form going in the right place. Routings, and we do have augmented routing set up. That's been working great for us. notifications based on what the event is. We have a number of we modified and we created our own email templates to further help the person receiving the email understand the work that they need to do. One thing that I would like to point out is we use rosters, and we had to have uh, a way that we would be able to limit these forms to the specific role holder within the agency. So if we had an agency HR person that was the HR coordinator for the agency, we only wanted that agency to receive that. So we did that by enabling rosters and using a route control um, in order to accomplish that. No action items, no attachments, records. Fields. Nice having this all segment field since we went to 375 here. As you can see within there, it reduces the amount of time that we have to spend on each page and field to make any types of changes, because there was certainly a number of those where we changed labels to make sense for what the business uses here at the state. I want to talk a little bit about before and after. What you're seeing here now is the before tracking of intern funding, all manual, what the spend was, who requested it, the back and forth of where the approvals were, logging each school, majors, the dollars that were sent out by OMB, if anything needs to be returned, has it been reconciled, form is closed, and then all the individual columns relating to monthly payroll for those people. And the manual reconciliation done at the end of all of it. $52 columns. Let's see what that looks like now. If you have ACE developers like we do, you can have them create an index, and from that index, you can create an insight dashboard. This happens to be what our insight dashboard looks like for intern funding and returns. So here we can easily understand the amount that is allocated and in different stages, like it's been approved, it's been transferred, and the funding that's remaining. And then we talk about forms. What statuses are our existing forms, and are they executed, returned, pending, withdrawn? Here's a good actionable visualization right here, waiting for approval. So here we can easily understand where the form is at in its approval status, and from those we can click on them and we can filter down to send them a reminder. We're also using reminders in the form too, by the way. And then we can look overall to see what statuses we have of forms, how many are approved or pending, terminated. And we can look on here to see what agencies are getting the requests. can look at the number that have been withdrawn. Request by school name, so we can see what the breakdown is of our schools. And of course, each one of these is exportable. What degree types they are in. So we can see almost 16% of our requests have to do with engineering. Then we start actually looking at some form aggregated data and individual data. So we can look, of course, all in progress forms. And remember that 52 column spreadsheet? Here it is, automatically generated. And right from this form, I can go to look at the form. I can notify the approver if it's pending that second, see where it's pending an approver. So I can notify them right from this actionable dashboard. And then we can look down here. We have different ones filtered by these are executable with no hours remaining. And the closed ones, zeros. Now check this out. We get down into some refund information as well. So we can see refunds. But you said refunds. I don't remember that. Well, let me show you how that works. All right, so I'm the OMB intern coordinator. I say time to clean up our processes here, and we know we have a certain number that are executed, and that there's that the person, say for instance, didn't use all those hours, those kinds of things. What we can do is we can simply look at here and we can see if there's hours remaining, and we know that we're past that point. So what we can do is initiate a let me slide this down a little bit more. Right from the dashboard here, I can add a return. So let's say, for instance, let's go ahead and add a return here. And what this is doing is it's pre-filling a return request. So this is the clawback that I need to do at OMB. And we know that we pre-filled all the information from the regular form, the request form. So we can see the hours in the work plan were 820. The hours worked were 337. And that leaves us 482.77 hours remaining. And those are the hours that we need to claw back. Pre-fills into this section that's editable by me, only me, the intern coordinator. And then it does all of our calculations based on that as far as what we expect for the appropriation to be returned. It gives us a breakdown of the number of hours that went into the total hours worked. And we show those hours remaining again. And that's by month right off payroll. And I can go ahead and submit this. And very much like the last form that we did, which is the intern request, this form is going to go through various approvals, go through financials, and go ahead and be approved. It'll create, again, those financial transactions with those appropriate lines. Let's jump back to the dashboard. I'll show you a little bit down here about that refund data. Now, again, we can see what agencies are getting them, what approval processes they are in, how many dollars has been returned, some counts of those statuses, 1 return, 3 pending. And then we get some details around that. So we've got forms that are pending, forms that are returned, and any other status that we would have in there. And right now, that's all we had in that. And again, that's completely exportable as well. Very easy way to maintain your understanding of what was needed by the agency for intern dollars, where you're at with the execution of those dollars in tracking. You keep up on the approval statuses and getting them moved right from this actionable dashboard. You can do it all right from here. And thanks again to Anita, our ACE developer, along with our other developers here at the State of North Dakota for making this happen. Thank you.
Darin, wow. I have to say, I think that that is the most comprehensive and compelling demo that I've seen on a Lunch and Learn. And that's not to discount any of the fantastic presentations that we've seen on Lunch and Learns over the last couple of years, but that's an amazing solution. I've got a couple of questions, if you're ready.
Yes.
One, the whole budget reconciliation piece of that has got to be monumental. The fact that you have all of that information now at your fingertips as to what budget has actually been used toward those interns, and then planning for the following year. All of that stuff it has to be impacted by this. What's been the response to that?
When we talk about the level of work that needs to be done, that they were previously spending on that spreadsheet, not only in documenting that, yep, we got a request. Well, that's a manual documentation from who, when, what, why, all those types of things. They were spending about 10 hours a month on reconciling that part alone. And that's just the reconciling the form at the end, or the spreadsheet at the end of the month, not taking into account actually adding the data from when they would get the request to the spreadsheet. So if you can imagine that, you're easily spending 20 hours a month doing those things. We get about through a biennium, about 24 months, we get about 260 intern funding requests. And then on top of that, so we have the funding requests. That's not only just one piece that we're doing, but then we have to manage those refunds too, right? That whole process right there in doing that was very difficult to manually catalog, track, and make in a visual format that we could tell leadership, this is where we are, this is what we're doing, and telling our story. So that was very, very much a difficult part to it. And trust me, this process led to tears. If you can imagine someone being tapped to do this kind of work, because it's very serious, right? We're talking about fund exposure. We're talking about appropriation of funds, and making sure that those criteria are met, right? So there's many hoops that they had to jump through, and it was very scary for them because it was so wrought with challenges that they could be interrupted and miss a piece and not have the information that they need for audit purposes.
Wow, that's amazing. If you look at the the total amount of effort applied to this project, how much would you say was applied just to the design and try to figure out what you wanted this to do and how you wanted it to do it?
The design phase was very difficult. And that was hampered by a couple of things, Scott. Number one, we were inexperienced with GT forms. It can do so much stuff. The capabilities there is just tremendous. And when we initially gathered the requirements, basically it was taking it off the spreadsheet, right? Saying, oh, we need to gather this somehow, right? Okay, so, well, we kept finding additional things that they didn't like about the spreadsheet. That would be a gap analysis part, where we would address those things, whether it's validations, having the right days, being able to return the form. Remember, it's a whole different drama around if someone submits that says that they want $27, they submitted that $27 an hour, and they would have to manually update that in the system and document that it's been edited down to $16, right? And the agency would be like, well, I didn't see that anywhere. Well, all they have to do is return it to the originator, right? Sends the form back to the originator with the note in there that says, sorry, the maximum hourly amount you can put in there is $16. Goes back to them, they say, oh yeah, I forgot about that. They change it from 27 to 16, submit, there you're on track again. And that's what gets documented in the dashboard. And so you've got that whole level of audit right there available that we've never had before.
Wow.
Because if you can imagine an email saying, oh yeah, change it to 16, that does not cut it. Okay.
Right.
Here we've got comments, we've got the fields that are changed, all documented right there in the form. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So talking more about the length of the project and those kinds of things, this was basically done off and on for about 9 months. Okay. Where we had Anita was the chief developer working on it, and myself maybe working on it about 30% of our time. All right. So and like I said, there's a combination of learning what the capabilities of GT were. This would be much faster for people that were understood and well aware of the capabilities of GT. Whereas we were learning the system, so there's a 50% drag on there, right there. Especially if it's me learning it, you have to go over it a couple of times. So then I finally catch it. But and there's things within here that we were able to do, like say for instance, populating the return form from the existing request. That whole piece right in there, that was code that GT gave us in order to accomplish that. And I just have to give you guys kudos that we would send in a question like, how can we do this? We would get responded to that day multiple times within the hour, typically, of saying, yep, we're looking at it, we're aware. So they saw our issue, they became aware of it, they gave us an opportunity to escalate it if we needed to, or answer our question right there on the fly. Then most of the time it's like, hey, tomorrow, what time can you guys meet? Literally that fast. And we're like, boom, we're on it, Scott. Let's meet tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And, we would get on with Jay or another, one of your technical folks over there or functional folks. And they were well aware of what we wanted to accomplish then. And they understood the process that we need to do. And just did a great job in helping us move forward in getting this delivered out there.
That's awesome. That is something that frequently goes unnoticed with regards to, and I appreciate your comments and your praise, Darin. The fact that we have so many really skilled people on our team that understand just business process. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to be experts in finance or student records or benefits enrollment or something like that, but they understand how to ask questions about business process and then map that to the capabilities of the tool. How can you best do this in GT eForms? I love that. And I'm glad that you called that out. That's fantastic. And I'm glad that they were able to respond as quickly as they did. That's great. Um, and I don't want to command all the time here. I was just curious to ask a couple of questions. Are there other questions that people might have? I appreciate the comment that you put in the chat, Joanna. That's great to get the wheels turning about using these capabilities to solve problems and apply this kind of technology to real world business solutions. I wish that we had. I want to publicize once we have the recording published out on YouTube, Darin. I want to push this out to as many people as possible because even though this is targeted toward a specific business process within a particular domain, what you've done here in terms of using the tool to automate all these different aspects of a complex business process is amazing. In my perspective, you have very quickly risen to the cream of the crop in terms of applying GT eForms to solve business problems. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So any questions that people have? And the fact that you're using a combination of GT eForms, obviously inside PeopleSoft, but then also delivered PeopleSoft capabilities like insights to create this very well-rounded, comprehensive solution that honestly does make it better, faster, and easier for folks to navigate this process. Has it spawned other ideas at the state in terms of solutions that you might want to build?
There's certainly other areas that we want to look at with business processes that we currently have that would be enhanced by using GT Forms and PeopleSoft together in a combination like this. And one of the areas that we work around is job description questionnaires. That's a state and federal kind of thing, right? Well, there's no app within PeopleSoft. There's no process within PeopleSoft for us to capture those types of requests and those kinds of things that affect job and position information. So that is one of the things that Lisa Berg, my counterpart, is working on with the state right now to utilize within GT, that whole reclassification process.
Does that, when you and I first started talking like 10 years ago, there was a form that you thought of automating. Was it JDQ?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that what you're talking about now?
That is it. That is it.
Oh, fantastic. It's about time you got around to that.
Yeah. And I'll just tell you folks, from using GT, it's been a real adventure, and it's really exciting to see the capabilities out there and what you can do with it. You want to find those kinds of people that are interested in making a difference and utilizing tools like this and making jobs easier, and they're going to learn the tool, they're going to pick it up, they're going to move, and there's going to be a level of excitement and keep that going, because using GT tools and like any other tools, they're depreciable skills. You want to make sure you keep up on it, and fortunately, GT puts out lunch and learns and various other trainings and YouTubes on things that are going on in the GT Forms industry. So it really helps us keep up on processes and understanding of it.
Do you have plans to introduce the eForms assistant into this solution?
Yes, we do. We're currently loading with part of our 375 upgrade that we're doing. We are loading that in as well.
Excellent. Good to hear. Very good. Let's go ahead. Darin, anything else that you want to mention? Otherwise, I'll have Alicia advance to the next slide with just some updates on our end.
Nope. Thanks for the opportunity to share.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you don't have to thank us. Thank you. It has been fantastic. Great to have you on board. All right, upcoming training news. I'll mention this and then I think I'll hand it over to Alicia to talk about upcoming training and our next Lunch and Learn. So for those of you who aren't aware, and hopefully you already are, we're hosting the first ever GT Ignite as part of the Alliance Conference in March down in Orlando. It is going to be a dedicated track on GT solutions and services and customer stories. There's going to be roadmap sessions and sneak previews of new technology that we're working on, as well as brand new demonstrations of bleeding edge things that we're going to be introducing in early 2026, most notably GT eForms for cloud. So if you're looking at applying GT eForms to other applications aside from just PeopleSoft, GT eForms for cloud is for you. And that allows you to plug the GT eForms configurable form builder / rapid application development tool into literally any application you can imagine throughout your enterprise. So you can have a singular ubiquitous tool that everybody uses to create custom extensions and new business process automation solutions for your organization. So GT Ignite will be Sunday and Monday of the Alliance Conference, and I think there will be also some lingering GT sessions Tuesday and Wednesday. It is open to anybody. So the Alliance Conference is organized by HUG, Higher Education User Group, but they are allowing any industry to attend the GT Ignite portion of that, and then extend that invitation to apply to all of Alliance. So if there are folks, regardless of industry and focus, that want some really good PeopleSoft content across HCM, financials, and campus solutions, I encourage you to take a look at the Alliance Conference. Also, there's other Oracle-related content there. Cloud and AI and just a whole host of things. So we invite you to join us. You can go ahead and scan that QR code for more information and the registration link. And Alicia, I'll go ahead and hand this over to you to maybe bring us home on the upcoming Lunch and Learn and trainings.
Good. And just a quick comment on Ignite as well. There is, as Scott mentioned, it's really 2 pricing options. So if you do the full Alliance package, that includes everything GT Ignite included. There's no additional cost. But then if you choose just GT Ignite, there's a separate price for that. So if you have any questions or need any additional information, just let us know. We'd love to have you join us there. All right, let's look at next month's our Lunch and Learn for January will be on January 15th. This one will be focusing on troubleshooting your PeopleSoft performance. We know we get some questions that come our way with regard to performance and the impacts that it then extends to your end users. They're really the first to kind of notice these performance issues. And so our sysadmin team will be sharing some fixes to really help narrow in on what's causing those issues and how to really get to an answer quickly on performance issues. So this will be a shift away from a GT at eForms or some of our product, but into more of that troubleshooting and help when it comes to performance issues. So should be a great session next month. And just in terms of our upcoming training with regard to our eForms training, and including that, included in that are things like our insights dashboards. We could do training for that, which Darin showed beautifully today how they've implemented that solution. What you're seeing here is our calendar for next year. So we are done with training for the month of December, but we have put out our 2026 calendar. So if you haven't checked it out yet, we have put the full lineup out there for 2026, and encourage you as you're considering functionality, other things, or maybe it's been a while since you've worked with a form, that we've got a class for you and happy to help you in your progress and the work that you're doing. One thing I'm not seeing on here, I think they missed this one, as we do have our next pay per seat. So you can pay for a seat in our intro training. That's our hands-on, week-long, very extensive. That will be the first week of February. So if you've got any team members that either haven't worked with it for a while, or they've are new to the product and need to get that real basic foundational training, that's there. You can pay for just a seat in that mixed client session the first week of February.
Excellent.
All right,
Thank you, Alicia. And finally, again, on behalf of the Gideon Taylor team and the greater GT community, thank you very much to Darin and for Anita for joining us today and sharing what is a fantastic solution. It's exciting to see what people are doing with GT eForms above and beyond anything that we would have ever imagined. This was really cool. So Darin, thank you very much for everything that you shared today.
Yes, thank you, Darin. Appreciate it.